Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of No Niche Zone, the podcast about everything. I'm your host, Priscilla Davies, and I am so happy to be here with you today. Y'all, there's just too much. As usual, we have our 1 week off every single month. We do 3 episodes a month for our new listeners. And as usual, our 1 week off, all the news was popping. So much has happened. So let's just get straight into it because we only got an hour, Bookie. We only got an hour. First of all, most recently, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with this whole David situation. For those who don't know, David is a singer, a musician. He spells his name D4, like the number, VD. So D4vd. If you've seen that, that's who we're talking about. He is, I believe, 20 or 21 years old, and he's a singer, and he had a really popular TikTok song. You might have heard this, the one where it's like, I don't care how long it takes, right? So that song was really popping. His career's been doing really well. And like a week or so ago, we find out that this dude's Tesla got impounded and they found a dead body in his Tesla chopped up, y'all, while this guy was out on tour. And did he stop his tour when this went down? No, he kept doing shows. And as the days have gone on, we've learned more and more about this person who was in the car, this body who was in the car chopped up, y'all. And it turned out to be 14, now would be 15, but it's we're pretty sure she died before she was 15. 14-year-old Celeste, I believe Rivas is her last name. And I hope, or Herrera. I hope I didn't mess that up, but her first name is Celeste. And oh boy. And, we got details coming out like pieces by pieces. It was like, what they did have of her body. They saw that she had a tattoo on one of her fingers that read, shh. And this is the same tattoo that David has on one of his fingers, okay? And long story short, this is still very much fresh in, at this point in the investigation, but the internet sleuths, you know how they be. They got down and dirty. They were down in the, at this point, fire all the detectives, except for Olivia Benson, okay? She got to stay forever. But at this point, fire all the detectives because the internet sleuths figure things out in 0.3 seconds, and they have a whole entire narrative shaked out, clear with evidence to back it up. So the internet sleuths have been digging on this, and this is what they've discovered. This is all alleged. I'm not an internet sleuth. I just listen to them. But according to the internet sleuths, what they found out is that essentially David and Celeste were dating. Mind you, David is 20, and Celeste died when she was 14, a couple months ago, okay? We find out that they were dating. We find out that Celeste had been reported missing in, I believe, April of 2024. So last year, she's been reported missing for a year, okay? We find out that she had run away previously and then came back and then, disappeared again. We find out that, David has a Discord server and he had been posting pictures of them on this Discord and on his IG. And the sleuths, the internet sleuths are putting all the pieces together. At one point in the Discord, David, or the account attributed to David, says that he has gotten his girlfriend pregnant. Okay, that's usually how these domestic violence, homicide situation, statutory rape situations kind of happen, right? So we also found some Celeste's siblings had released her Instagram page and made it public and posted some pictures and stuff in hopes of getting some information. And there's a picture of her finger, another finger with the word David tattooed onto it, a picture of her finger with an engagement ring. Y'all, it is so messy. And And the sleuths determined, based on pulling pictures of this guy, Celeste was from Lake Elsinore, which is a part of California. It's a part of Southern California that we would call that's part of the Inland Empire, okay? It's basically, it borders Los Angeles County. And there's pictures of him out there as far back, I believe, as 2023. So people did the math, and essentially he met her when she was like 10 or 11 years old, and he was like 16, 17. And then they proceeded to have this relationship for however many years. And now this poor little girl ends up dead, chopped up in this man's trunk, in his Tesla that got impounded. Mind you, and she's in a state of decomposition that, the Emmy is having a hard time doing their tests and stuff. I just want, my thing about this is I hope that all of the young girls are watching this. I hope that this artist, I was not a huge fan of this kid. I only knew that one song. But I hope that this artist is a popular artist, especially with Gen Z and with Gen Alpha, because I want the young kids out there, especially young girls, but this also applies to young boys. This applies to young they, thems. This applies to young people in general. I hope y'all are watching this, especially my little girls. I hope you're watching this. This is one of the reasons why I talk about age gap relationships on this podcast. Age gap relationships are dangerous. These dudes, especially who are engaging in these age gap relationships, who are 5, 10, 20, 30 years older, engaging in these age gap relationships with these children. Celeste was 10 or 11 when he met her. Engaging in these relationships with these teenage girls. Engaging, you're a 47-year-old man dating a 21-year-old. Are you okay? Shannon Sharp. 50-something-year-old man, and you just got sued by a 19-year-old who now never has to work a day in her life again because you couldn't control yourself and keep it in your pants, and you chasing after little kids. I hope the young people are watching this. Girls especially, these older men are dangerous. Okay? They are dangerous. It's not just a matter of the fact that they are creeps. Any old man who's checking for you as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult is a creep. And not only is he a creep, but he is dangerous. Why is he dangerous? Because he is a predator. That is a predatory mindset. The type of man who is checking for little children to date, that is a predatory mindset. And that applies to older women too. There's some weird ass old women out here too. Some of them in Hollywood. I'm not going to name some names, but why are you in your 40s always dating 21-year-old athletes? I'm not going to name no names. But girls, especially these older men, this is predatory behavior. Think about how a predator works, okay? A predator is going to go after the weakest prey. A predator is going to go after the youngest prey, the oldest prey, the sickest prey, because they're gonna have the least amount of resistance, right? And I know when you're young, you don't wanna hear that. You're like, I know what I'm doing. And you're right, you do know what the hell you're doing. You just have a limited amount of experience. You started a job on day one, you're not gonna be able to do the things that you can do on day 100, right? That's life. You start life on day one, you're not gonna be able to do the things that you can do on day 100 because you just don't have the experience, and that's okay. But these dudes, these old dudes, they see that and they're going after that because they want to control you. And they want to have complete control over you and brainwash you because they know you don't have that much experience in life, so they can tell you any nonsense and you'll believe them. And especially when you're young, you're always, one of the things about being young is that you're always worried about proving yourself, right? That's something you got to work out of, that's just a part of life, a part of childhood, a part of teenage life, a part of your 20s, right? It's proving yourself, always being worried what other people are thinking about you, right? Y'all, they take advantage of that. I know how these dudes operate. They be talking to you, whispering in your ear, talking about oh, well, you just don't get it because you're so young. You just don't get it because, you're only this age and, you don't know. And you, because you're young and you don't want to seem like you don't know. You don't want to seem like you are naive. You act like you're like, no. And you're constantly trying to prove that. And they take advantage of that. They're taking advantage of your desire to prove that you are not naive, that you are willing to go to the extremes and do things that you're uncomfortable doing just to prove that you're not young, you're not naive, and that you're mature. It is time for us to change the narrative around age gap relationships from, oh, she's mature for her age. I'm young at heart. We need to change the narrative from that to these dudes are creeps. These dudes are creeps. They are weirdos. They are predators. They are dangerous. They will hurt you, baby girl. They will hurt you, and they will hurt you and keep on performing in their tour. They will hurt you, girl. And we need to change that narrative. No, the idea that, oh, he's choosing me because I'm special. Yeah, he is choosing you because you're special. But that's not the end of it. He's choosing you because you're special because he wants to take your specialness and destroy it. They get off on that. These psycho men, they get off on that. They get off on breaking you down, humbling you. I'm sure you've heard dudes talking about humbling women. They get off on that. So yeah, yes, you are a bright star. You are special. And they see that, and predators take advantage of that. And your job is to recognize that these are predators. No matter how much they talk, sweet to you, no matter how much they love bomb you. And even if they're rich and wealthy and successful, that doesn't make up for the fact that they're checking for little children. It actually makes it worse. Because if they're rich and they are wealthy and connected and successful, that means they have access to almost any woman, man, person that they want to. Let's keep it real. So why would they be checking for a child? Think about it, baby girl. Think about it. Why would a rich man who has access to supermodels, beautiful celebrities, has access to all the beautiful, why would that man be checking for a 13-year-old when he's in his 20s? Think about it. It makes it worse. Girl, I just really want young women to change this narrative. That, I'm special. I'm mature for my age. He's young at heart. That's not what's going on. He's a creep. He's a predator. And women his age don't want him, which is why he's coming after you. Because women his age can see that he's a creep from a mile away. Women his age can see that he is a predator, that he is dangerous from a mile away. So they stay clear. That's why he's coming and checking for you at 13, you at 16, you at 22. That's why he's coming to check for you at those ages, because the women his age don't want him because they see I want young girls, your lives are in jeopardy dealing with these old men. So please, girl, please, baby girl, please stay away from these old men. And if you don't have, the problem a lot of times is like, you don't have a safe parent to go to, right? If you don't have a safe parent or family member to go to, do your damnedest to try to find somebody. Find a teacher you trust. Find an older sibling you trust. Find an older cousin, an auntie, an uncle, a neighbor that you trust. Go to the goddamn cops if you have to. Go online and ask people, what do you think about the situation? They'll tell you straight up. So I just wanted to get that out there. Girls, young children, young teenagers. And again, I'm focusing especially on girls because that's the vast majority, percentage-wise, proportionally, it's young girls being exploited like this. But you little boys too. There are creepy old women and creepy old men checking for you too, okay? It's the same. It's the same across the board. So yeah. We'll be finding out more information about this as hopefully maybe by the time that this episode airs, we'll know even more. But that was one hell of a story to come across. After the biggest story that's been going on for the last, I can't believe it's barely been a week, give or take. And by the time you see this, it'll be about 2 weeks. Of course, I am talking about the execution, the public execution of Charlie Kirk, conservative, right-wing political commentator. Woo! What an experience. Y'all, as many of you out there, watch the video. I watched so many videos. I don't even, once you go down that rabbit hole, it's a wrap. I saw the distance videos, the close-up videos, the this angle videos. It was a lot. It was extremely jarring. And it's like a week later and I still find myself like, washing a dish being like, damn. So for those who don't know, which how could you not know, Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist, who basically was a straight up racist, straight up misogynist, like super far right, beyond MAGA. I mean, he was a MAGA darling, but beyond MAGA. And he was doing an event at a university in Utah, and he was speaking to several thousand students there, open air event. And oh my God, this man was shot in the neck. We don't know from where, people are saying from 200, we don't know, but he was shot in the neck. Like literally in the jugular. It was wild to witness. And what's so wild on top of all that is he was shot in the neck while talking about gun violence, mass shootings. And not only was he talking about gun violence, mind you, Charlie Kirk is a proponent. Charlie Kirk was a proponent for gun rights. And we're going to talk about some of the things that he said because it's crazy. But he was talking about mass shootings, and the last thing this man said, the last 2 words this man said was gang violence. And then pow, he got shot. And it was wild because obviously the irony of it, right? You're talking about you're talking about gun violence, you're talking about violence, and you're a proponent of the Second Amendment at the cost of human lives, because he has been quoted as saying he thinks it's worth it for some people to die so that we can have our gun rights. Awkward. Little did you know it was going to be you, Pookie, when you were talking and spewing all that. Not only was he talking about gun violence, but he was also attributing it. He was also talking about transgender people in connection to gun violence. So this fool was trying to come for transgender people. Then the last 2 words on his lips on this earth was gang violence, in an attempt to drop a dog whistle to implicate Black people. So you were sitting here being transphobic, being anti-Black, dropping dog whistles, being a proponent for gun violence, and doing all this underneath an awning that says, "Prove me wrong." And you got shot, murked. And I mean, watching the video, in my opinion, oh boy was gone before he even hit the ground. Okay? How ironic, how kismetic, how karmic. It's giving karma. It's just, even sitting here talking about it right now, I'm still getting chills. It's just too on the freaking head for me. As a person who pays attention to the signs, these are signs you cannot ignore, honey. You cannot ignore. There are big messages that are being broadcast if you're listening. So this whole thing went down, and the reaction, the reaction on both the left and the right, okay? On the left, we have, we have the both sidesers. The Democrats, they love that both sidesing everything, right? We have the, violence is never the answer, even though this guy was a proponent for violence. Even this is, mind you, this is a guy who said that children should be brought to public executions. And this guy got publicly executed in front of a bunch of children at college. Hey. Ooh, the universe is funny. Okay? This man, you have these people on the left and they're sitting here being like, oh, violence isn't the answer. Oh, nobody should be celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. So you mean the people who were directly affected by this man's prejudice, this man's racism, anti-blackness, transphobia, xenophobia. I mean, this guy, there is a video of this man calling an Asian person the C slur, CH slur. You know what I'm talking about on video. This is the man, I mean, come. And you have the left here trying to condemn people who feel relief that a notorious racist, oppressive person who had major power, okay? This guy had a whole entire, he has a whole organization called Turning Point. Another irony. Because this dude's murder is definitely a turning point here, okay? He had a whole organization. This guy was directly responsible for some of the people in Donald Trump's administration. I mean, this is not just some dude who was talking on a mic to 10 people on his Patreon. Okay, this guy had a huge following, and his whole purpose was trying to take that following and weaponize it against marginalized people. You think he was talking about transgender people when it comes to mass shootings for fun? You think that he wasn't trying to send vitriol and violence their way? You think when he was dropping dog whistles about black people and quote unquote gang violence, what do you think his intention behind that was? You think he was just bringing up statistics, or do you think he was trying to get people to turn on black people? It's, again, more irony that the same violence that this dude was trying to project out to marginalized communities somehow found its way right back to him. There's a saying out there, don't dig graves for other people because you might be the one that falls in. And this is quintessentially it. So you have people on the left, condemning fellow Democrats and leftists and people on the left for not just celebrating, but also like not mourning this guy's death and recognizing this guy's whole entire life not in a vacuum. Yeah, what happened to him was crazy. And I'm not gonna minimize that. Like I said, I'm still jarred thinking about it. I still have moments where I gotta pause and be like, damn, they murked that nigga right in front of all of us. I gotta take that in, and we all do. And it was traumatizing to see that. I'm not gonna minimize that aspect, but we don't live in a vacuum, and we cannot pretend like this guy was some saint. He was a family man, and he's the one that didn't give a damn about children being killed in schools. He made some of his most egregious statements about gun violence in the wake of major shootings. But we're supposed to be concerned about this man being a family man. Did he give a damn about those children's families? When he was saying that, hey, it's worth it for some people to die, even if it includes school children. He was a family man. He was a Christian. And so he was a Christian? You mean them same Christians that have been out here terrorizing the whole entire planet for the last 500 years? Is it 500? I got to go back. Actually, longer, because y'all started. Anyway, we don't have time for the religious talk. And it's listen, you can expect that from the right, but from the left, and this is one of the reasons why we are where we are today. Because the left refuses to acknowledge that the right's political views, their quote political views, are not political views. It is hate, okay? It is hate. Saying that you feel like some people don't deserve to be alive because of their skin color, that is not a political view. That is hate. Saying that people need to be deported because of their skin color, that is hate. That is not a political view. And the left consistently platforms the right and acts like their violent rhetoric is somehow political, it's just a political talking point. It's not political. It's a political talking point to the left, white people on the left, because they're not talking about your lives. They're talking about our lives, Black people's lives, brown people's lives, queer people's lives, disabled people's lives. They're not talking about you. That's why to you, it's just political rhetoric, because you're not actually affected by it. And this is why we are where we are, because consistently the left, who is supposed to be the buffer, who is supposed to be protecting the marginalized communities in our country, consistently kowtow to the right. And they legitimize their hateful platforms as if spewing hate is a political ideology. That's just politics. Extermination camps, that's just politics. Was what Hitler doing since that's the only motherfucker y'all seem to be able to get it with, was what Hitler was doing in Europe, was that just politics? Hello? I mean, in the same way that after the Civil War, the liberal North let those motherfuckers just, they gave them a slap on the wrist. They didn't handle them the way they were supposed to, the way you're supposed to handle traitors. They gave them a slap on the wrist, and then they sent them back to the South to let them continue terrorizing Black people and other marginalized people. While the Northerners sat up in the North and said, oh, aren't we so civilized? We don't do slavery anymore. We freed the slaves. Now, are we letting our Southern cousins continue to abuse them and oppress them, Black people down South? And are we continuing to turn a blind eye to it? And are we continuing every time we try to speak up on it and they say, oh, well, this is just tradition. This is are we continuing to respect that and say, well, it is their tradition? The left has failed marginalized people. The left has failed us so freaking badly. And that's why the world that we see today is the way it is. Because y'all have, like I said, continuously kowtowed to the right. Continuously. And legitimize them. There's a term called entryism. I think that's what it's called. Yes. Entryism. And what that term essentially means, entryism. It's basically another way of saying infiltrating, okay? Basically, it's a political tactic where you send your people to infiltrate the other side. And they don't just infiltrate, and they infiltrate in a way that slows down the progress of the group that they're infiltrating. So, for example, let's say you're in a progressive or a leftist community, right? And you guys are talking, you're in this group, you're trying to figure out what strategies you're trying to do, et cetera. And you have one person in the group who wants to talk about and fight over pens. That is entryism. They will send people in there to waste your motherfucking time. And that is exactly what we see happening with the political discourse between the left and the right. The left needs to wake up. These people are not interested in civil debate. They're not interested in engaging in fair political debate. They are wasting our freaking time. They are trying to exhaust us with never-ending debate. Never-ending debate. Well, and the left eats it up every time. Y'all want to sit here and debate MAGA. What are you debating them over? What is the debate? I mean, should we go back to slavery? Is that the debate we're having? Should we go back to child labor? Because they're now trying to lower the age of child labor. Should we go back to child brides? I don't even know why I'm saying back, because we still have child brides in this country, but they're trying to lower the age of consent. Well, how is that a political talking point? We want to allow children to get married to dirty, nasty adults. And you on the left are like, oh, well, we should debate about that. Dummies. The lot of you, it's like I said, there's a name for this, entryism. And the purpose is to waste your freaking time. And the right does an excellent job of this. And the left continuously falls into this freaking trap. Y'all want to be sitting and debating and honoring. Well, you know, you're scared to say this, scared to say that. Meanwhile, you got people like Charlie Kirk on live TV calling people slurs. I mean, it's just so frustrating to see that type of reaction from the left. And then y'all tell me why the Senate done passed a resolution to honor Charlie Kirk on what would have been his birthday this year, October 14th, to honor him, a day of remembrance for him. And don't you know a bunch of Democrats signed it too? Why do we need a day of remembrance for a racist, homophobe, transphobe, ableist, violent motherfucker? But that just tells you exactly where we are. The same reason why we need Confederate statues up, to honor those evil ass motherfuckers. So if you're ever wondering, like, you know, what's really going on, pay attention to who we prop up. Look at who's on your money. A bunch of slave owners, okay? A bunch of dirty rat bastard slave owners are on your money. Look at your coins. That's who's on your coins. Look at the names on the buildings. A bunch of Confederates, a bunch of enslavers, a bunch of Jim Crow, you know, evil motherfuckers, a bunch of pedophiles, which we're going to be finding out more of. It's just something. And now they want to honor Charlie Kirk with a remembrance. And the Democrats signed off on that. I mean, again, why are we promoting someone whose whole existence was to oppress marginalized people? And he actively did that. And the left is supporting that. Embarrassing. And then on the right, what do we have? We have, Republicans and MAGA conservatives trying to blame the left for this. It's the left's fault. And they've gone on air, on record, talking about this is on the left. This is the left's fault and the violent left rhetoric. What violent? Since when? I thought we were snowflakes. Weren't y'all calling us snowflakes? How are we now the violent left? But just 5 minutes ago, we were snowflakes. Entryism, wasting your goddamn time. So you have the right here now mad at people, and not just mad at people, but people are losing their jobs behind this, y'all. People are losing their jobs behind this. Jimmy Kimmel was just taken off the air because he made a joke about not even the Charlie Kirk murder, but about Donald Trump's reaction to it. And they took his ass off the air. And I love that. I love that for white America, because finally white America is getting a taste of what they've been turning a blind eye to when it comes to the rest of us. Because nobody was upset. Everybody's losing their mind over Jimmy Kimmel. Nobody was mad when they came for Joy-Ann Reid. Nobody was mad when they came for Don Lemon. Nobody was mad when they came for Katie Fang and for Alex Wagner and for Mehdi Hassan and for all the non-white people out there. Nobody was mad when they came for those motherfuckers who had to now go into independent media. But now that it's your boy, Jimmy Kimmel, now y'all are up in arms. Where were you all this time that they've been coming for people? Crickets. So I love this, because maybe white America will wake the hell up. Again, the only reason why, y'all are thinking that this is just political discourse is because you're not the ones that are actually affected. Well, guess what? It's coming for you, boo. It's coming for you. And then you have the right also trying to pin the shooter, who we're going to talk about, as a leftist. Now, the alleged shooter, they arrested a man named Tyler Robinson, a 21-year-old Utah resident. And they started digging around. And of course, the internet, it's so interesting, the difference between mainstream media and social media. Because on mainstream media, the clues that they pulled out, they're seeing that as clear left-wing propaganda. Whereas on social media, the clues are actually, they're like, actually, no, this is actually pointing to him being extremely right, super alt-right. So what am I talking about? For example, there were some things that the alleged shooter etched onto some of the bullet casings. And a couple of them were anti-fascist statements, right? So the right jumped on that. I was like, see, he was making anti-fascist statements. And the media's like, yeah, anti-fascist statements, the mainstream media. But then when you go into social media, like I said, the internet sleuths, they were digging around and they know, and they put a whole different context on it. So apparently, y'all, we are about to go down a deep, dark rabbit hole. Okay? Gird your loins, because this shit is about to go deep and it's about to go dark. Okay? So based on the internet sleuths, Tyler Robinson apparently was a groiper. Okay? Get ready, y'all. A groiper. Okay? What is a groiper? A groiper is a far right person, typically male, who follows Nick Fuentes, who is another super far right, alt-right commentator, just like Charlie Kirk. However, he and his followers believe that Charlie Kirk was not far right enough. Can you believe that? I mean, we is in scurry times. These fools didn't think that Charlie Kirk, the man dropping slurs on camera, was not far right enough, okay? So this group, the Groipers, they follow Charlie Kirk. I'm sorry, they follow Nick Fuentes, sorry, okay? And their symbol that you might have seen online is the image of a frog. The frog's name is Pepe the Frog, okay? But this frog is this is their symbol, okay? And it's based on a version of Pepe the Frog called the Groiper, okay? Which I believe is like an anti-black or anti-Semitic, I don't even know, but it's not cute, right? So you may have seen this frog online. Usually it's the profile picture of someone saying egregious ass shit, okay? Heinous stuff, like the wild, like what the hell? Yes, these are the Groipers, okay? And they follow Nick Fuentes and they beef with the Charlie Kirk crew, okay? And this is mostly happening online. However, it also was happening in person because Nick Fuentes would send some of his Groipers to Charlie Kirk events to troll him and heckle him, okay? So this Groiper community, right? One of the things they do is they call Charlie Kirk, they're calling them fascists because they feel like they're not far right enough. And that's where you get the inscriptions, those fascist statements that were inscribed on the bullet casings. Those are very popular with the Groiper community. They will use those statements to basically throw shots at the Charlie Kirk community that they think is not right enough, so they're calling them fascists. Can you imagine the extreme far right is calling the far right fascists because they're not extreme enough? Okay? So those phrases, these anti-fascist phrases, the mainstream media is seeing that as like, oh, he was a leftist, he was an anti-fascist. But on social media, the deeper context is actually, no, these are actually terms and phrases that are very popular in this Groiper community. Another reason why the right tries to say that Tyler Robinson is actually on the left is because as news is coming out, he allegedly has a roommate who is supposedly also a romantic partner who is trans or transitioning, okay? And so again, the right is like, see, he's living with the trans person, he's dating a trans person, that he has to be on the left. But then you go to social media, and then you learn more about the Groipers. Y'all, like I said, this is deep and it's dark, okay? So in the Groiper community, Groipers started online. They are an super alt-right, okay? But they are also heavily populated by incels. Some might say that the alt-right and incels, if you made a Venn diagram, it might could be, you know? But there's a lot of overlap, okay? So you have incels who are also alt-right, okay? And for those who don't know, incels are involuntary celibate young men who basically they have trouble dating, and so they've created this community and they turned around and now they hate women and they are dangerous to women, okay? Because they feel like they're entitled to women and they should be getting women. And they live in this world where they believe that there's chads who are like the alpha dudes, the good looking, you know, guys that, you know, have the personality. They don't have to worry about anything. They pick up women easily, have an easy life. And you have the Stacys, those are the girls that they all want. And then you have the normies. And then you have them, right? Basically, if you're not a Chad and a Stacy, you're not winning. Talk about a binary perspective. No wonder why they're so trapped, right? And so in their warped mentality, okay, they believe some of them believe that they have failed so badly at being men. They have failed so badly at the patriarchal version of what a man should be that they have decided to transition to women. Why? Because one, they hate women so much that they want to transition to women so they can prove to women that they're able to do, you know, they can pull dudes just like the bitches can. They also do it because they believe that they will have a better, easier life as a woman. So it's like they can get the benefits of being a woman because in their warped mind, being a woman is easier than being a man. And when I say benefits, they have a manifesto. They have a manifesto, y'all. A 73-page manifesto on transmaxing. That is the name of this. It's called transmaxing, and I'm going to explain that. They have a 73-page manifesto. Here are some of the pros that they list if you choose to be a transmaxer. Here's some of the pros, the benefits of being a transmaxer. You will feel emotions stronger and be happier on estrogen. You will be able to attract cis lesbians, in parentheses, if you're attractive enough. Being able to extract resources from males. People will treat you better if they think you are female. This is what they, so if you're thinking about this, these are just a few. This is a 73-page manifesto. They believe that they will have an easier shot at being a woman than being a man because they failed so badly. And if they have quote unquote feminine features, even better. They can do what's called looks maxing. Now, maxing is something that applies to, you have trans maxing, you have looks maxing, you have globe maxing. There's all kinds of maxing. And basically maxing means what you think, taking it to the max, right? So taking your looks to the max, that's looks maxing. Things like, you know, what most people would call just taking care of how you look, right? Brushing your teeth, doing a little gua sha, washing your face, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you can take it even further and do injectables. That's called hard maxing, by the way. Getting surgery. Yes, I went deep into this hole, okay? Transmaxing is where you basically, exactly what I described, where you've decided to live as a woman because you failed so badly as a man. And not only that, but a good portion of this incel alt-right groiper community are also in the closet. So the manifestation of them being in the closet is that instead of just being in the closet and sneaking around, they've decided to take all of that angst and frustration and direct it to women. Now they hate women. Hey, can you believe that? Can you believe that? So y'all, oh my God. So now transmaxing, this is something that is this, and not only is this something that is happening, but they are converting these dudes into transmaxing. It is not, I'm gonna play a quick little clip. It is not just a matter of like these dudes choosing to transmax, but these folks are converting them into transmaxing. Listen to this guy, how he explains it.
I mean that there is a very significant portion of homosexual white men that are deeply misogynistic, and they are the foot soldiers of this new extreme right. This white kid from Jesus Camp, he's taking me through this thread. The whole thread is white nationalist. The whole thread, and obviously you leave Jesus Camp, but then you learn more about the website. The whole thread is white nationalist. Bunch of white nationalist dudes that are just obsessed with black guys, specifically heterosexual black guys, because in their mind, their weirdo conceived mind, because they can't fulfill the role of the Chad or whatever, they still believe that the white woman is held up to this amazing standard, and so she still deserves to have the best sex that is available to her on planet Earth because she's a white woman. Just like white man should be able to sleep with small African and Asian children if he desires, or a white woman should be able to get the biggest, strongest black man she desires. Her biology desires. Bro, it's so racist and it gets really deep. And I'm just gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. It is a specific pathway. It's not done by accident. They purposefully, they call it converting. They look for other white potential femboys, like, oh, you're not gonna be a Chad, look at this, and then they feminize those boys, or they just develop a fetish. It initially started with,
so he's reading right now. What you're about to hear is him reading an actual, like, someone writing down exactly like what they do and how they feel, who's actually participating in this.
Pretty than black. I found the color contrast more and more hot over time, and now I've basically rewired my brain to only find BBC and black men sexually attractive. Also, a good way to try and convert someone is to search stuff related to black/BBC/BNWO on several websites the person browses on their phone. Anything porn related is a bonus, but search for interracial couples and terms like Snow Bunny and BNW on social media apps, then delete the history but keep the cookies saved. This is how you begin the pipeline of converting someone. This is an actual post. This is a post by a white nationalist put in this group this month saying this is how I convert people to become femboys for black men, and also spread white nationalist critiques. Like, there. I mean that there's a.
So y'all, did you hear that? A tactic they use is to go onto somebody's phone, search for all of this content, delete the history, but not the cookies, so that when that person then goes onto their phone, they think that they're just coming upon this, happenstance, all in an attempt to convert them into being femboys for other incels. And they couple up. So you will have a femboy transmaxer who is submissive and the girlfriend of an incel in this community. I mean, it is wild. And so that's what people were saying is possibly what was going on with the shooter and his partner, and how that falls into the whole groyper world. And it gets even darker. I'm running out of time, but it gets even darker. Do yourself a favor and look up BNWO. Stands for Black New World Order. I don't have time to play the clip, but it's wild. It gets dark and dirty. So that's what's been going on. This whole Charlie Kirk thing has opened up a whole world, this underground world that nobody knew about, and it is something else. And I'm running out of time, but I just want to close out on this, okay? Black people, I think it's quite interesting how recently in modern times, we have been connecting with our ancestors so much more than any other generation in modern times, right? We have been connecting with our ancestors, talking about them, feeding our ancestors, nurturing our relationship with our ancestors. And I don't think it's a coinky-dink. The way that whole thing went down with Charlie Kirk, and not just Charlie Kirk, but the whole country, I don't think it's a coincidence that everything is going to hell right now as we Black people continue to feed our ancestors and connect with our ancestors and connect to our roots and put that Bible down, put that Quran down. I don't think it's an accident. When you look at what happened with Charlie Kirk, come on. He says gang violence. The moment he says that, he gets taken out with all of the ironic pieces that went along with that. That is comedy. That is the ancestors. That is the ancestors working on our behalf while we rest. They are doing the work because now they have the power to do it. They needed the power. They needed us to focus on them and give our energy to them so they could get to work behind the scenes for us. And now we're seeing that. It's not a coincidence that we all got the psychic intuitive message to sit the hell down after the election. It is not our ancestors whispered in our ears and they said, babies, they said, sit down. Because we're going to take care of it. We're going to handle this and you don't even have to get your hands dirty. And I don't think that it's an accident. I don't think that it's a coincidence that we're seeing all of this stuff happening in our country, everything going to hell, all of this stuff going down while we Black people are at home, minding our business, staying safe. The more we feed our ancestors, the more work they can do for us. The more we connect with them, and not just our ancestors, also Mother Earth. Mother Earth loves us, okay? We are her people. And if we take care of her and if we love her, she will take care of us and she will love us back. And Mother Earth does not like what these elites, these people are doing to her. She doesn't like how these motherfuckers are ruining her water, ruining her air, ruining her forests, ruining her people. She don't like that. And neither do our ancestors. And so if we can feed them energy, the reason why those enslavers, when they came to Africa, those colonizers, when they went all over the world, the reason why they handed us Bibles was so that they could sever our spiritual connection. So we could not take care of ourselves. We were left unprotected because we were praying to their God. And we don't have time to get into one day we'll do a discussion on religion because it's time for Black people to wake up. That Christian Bible doesn't belong to us, okay? And it was used to keep us in our place. And now, because guess what? The ancestors believe in righteous rage. You understand? The ancestors believe in retribution. You understand? This is our lineage, not this turn a cheek and da-da-da. Meanwhile, I'm telling you to turn the cheek while I'm the one that's slapping you. Wake up. And I love that I'm telling you, it's not a coincidence, y'all. It's not a coinky dink that all of this is going down. Our ancestors are working behind the scenes. It is time for us to continue to feed them, make that relationship, talk to them, create your ancestor altar if you feel called. I felt called years ago to do that. I was like, all right, I set up my ancestor altar and let me tell you, me and my ancestors, we be kicking it and they be holding me down, okay? And all of our ancestors are together on the ancestral plane. And the more energy we give to them, the more focus we give to them, the more, pouring libation, all that stuff, the more power that they have that they can work on our behalf. And the less that we have to do in the physical plane. Because I'm telling you, you cannot compete with what's going on in the spiritual plane. Let them handle it. Same thing with Mother Earth. Let her handle it. She will handle it. So Black folks, now is the time. If you've been feeling called to connect with your ancestors, and if you want to start small, start by talking to your dead grandparents. That's it. You knew them. The grandparents that you knew, that you trust, start just by talking to them. Start by talking to the people who have recently passed that you knew personally. Okay? Start there. You want to make an ancestor altar? It doesn't have to be fancy. My ancestor altar is basic as hell. It doesn't have to be fancy. Start at the very least, just talk to them. Just put a little focus and energy, because where you put your focus, where you put your energy, you create fuel. When you're putting your focus and energy into that Bible, you're creating fuel for a God that was okay with us being in chains. Think about it now. Think about it. And with that being said, we've come to the end of another episode of No Niche Zone. Guys, you can follow us across all platforms at No Niche Zone Pod. You can also subscribe to our YouTube at No Niche Zone Pod. Guys, new listeners, we have a bunch of new listeners. If you want, that little exclusive hookup, check out our Patreon. That's where we have all of the full video episodes exclusively for our patron members. And and let's not forget, We have a whole 70 episode backlog for y'all to binge. If you want to check it out, go check it out wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, you can follow me at Pris the Goddess across all platforms. And with that being said, we'll see you next time.
No niche zone, no